Welcome to the Babylist showroom. I am Shannon Robson. I'm the managing editor for Babylist.
I am Jen LaBracio. So I am the senior gear editor at Babylist, which means I test and write about and review baby gear for a living. I am also a child passenger safety technician, which you might see abbreviated as CPST. That basically means I have special training in car seat use, safety, and education. I'm also a mom of an 11-year-old and a 4-year-old, and Shannon's a mom as well.
I am. I have one 7-year-old, so it's been a while for me in this stuff. I wish I had a class like this. And so what Jen and I do is we write and we create all the content and guides that you see. If you've been to the Babylist app or website, we write about things like the best car seats, the best strollers, the best breast pumps, the best everything. So what we wanted to do was bring that experience in person. We know from other Babylist users that making all these decisions for baby products can be really overwhelming. For most of you, it's like you're starting from zero. You know, this is the first time you've heard about what a load leg is.
We're going to show you.
We want to have an interactive class where you can ask about this stuff. And we are bringing you sort of some standout options, like the name implies, the best baby gear in these different categories. But what we are not trying to do is just say, these are the right ones, pick these ones. What we want to do is arm you with enough information about these categories that you could say, now I understand enough about these. These might not be the right car seat for our family, or these might not be the right strollers, but now I get it enough that I can go and make the right decision for us. Is everybody ready?
Are you ready?
Okay. I'm going to let Jen talk about sort of our editorial philosophy around picking the best baby gear products.
So first of all, this is not a sponsored class or presentation. These are all our opinions based on our own testing, very objective, not sponsored by any brand. And that is how our editorial department works as well. So anything we write about on our site, there is sponsored content, but it is very clearly marked as such. For what we do, it is all based on testing, feedback, and things like that. Again, talking a little bit more about credentials, as I was saying, I'm a CPST. The rest of our team who writes for us have various credentials. We have people who are certified in lactation, in baby wearing, all different kinds of certifications. So we try to have as many professional certifications as possible. And then how do we kind of test and how do we make these decisions about what we recommend to you guys? We are informed by a lot of things. Obviously, we work for Babylist, so we have a lot of data from expecting parents, new parents, and even seasoned parents. So we use that. We see what people are registering for. What are people adding to their registries? What's the most popular? We look at that stuff. Obviously, as we said, we do a lot of hands-on testing. And then we also have an annual survey every year, and we call it the Most Loved Baby Product Survey, and it goes out to new parents. Our sweet spot is usually with very young babies through about a year old, and we ask them, since they're like really in the trenches, like, what do you love? What do you not love? What do you hate about your stroller? What do you love about your car seat? What do you use every day? What do you use more or less than you thought? We use that survey all the time to inform what we write and recommend to you guys. And then on a professional level, we are guided by the principles of the AAP, which is the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the CDC, evidence-based guidance. That's kind of how we decide like what our professional guidance is.
All right, let's do it. We're going to start talking about infant car seats.
This is probably the area that I get asked about the most. Obviously, car seats are going to keep your child safe in the car, so parents, rightfully so, are very worried and want to make the best choice. So a few things before we launch into the particular products. Why rear facing? So if you don't know, infants ride rear facing. Until they outgrow this rear facing seat, they face the back. Why is that? So if you think about when you get into a frontal collision, which I hope will never happen to anybody, but it does happen. If you were facing forward, the head and neck of a baby would go forward like this, right? Babies have very big heads. It's the biggest part of their body. It's the heaviest part of their body. They have very weak necks and very weak spines and kind of cores. If you were to be riding forward facing, you got in a car accident, the head would kind of fly forward like this. When you are rear facing, these seats are designed to absorb the energy of the crash instead of that energy being absorbed by your child's head and neck. So that's kind of the why behind rear facing. It's just important to know a lot of parents are kind of curious why that is, kind of energy, physics, all of that. So when I'm looking at a car seat, I look at 4 things. I look at fit, safety features, size, and material. So fit, I'm looking at how a baby fits in this car seat. All car seats are shaped differently. All babies are shaped differently. Not all car seats fit all babies the same. I am also looking at how these car seats fit in a vehicle. All vehicles are shaped differently. All back seats are shaped differently. Some back seats are very sloped. Some are like this. Some have high seat bolsters. Some have headrests that don't remove. So there's a lot of factors to consider. Safety features. The first thing to know, all car seats sold legally in the US pass the same federal safety standards. So that is not something you have to worry about. No matter the price point of the seat, they're passing the same regulations. I sometimes look for extra safety features, which we're going to talk about as we go through these seats because a lot of these seats have those. Size. You are going to be carrying around a baby who can get very heavy in a car seat that can get very heavy. So I look at how much does this car seat weigh? How does it feel kind of when I carry it? How bulky it is? How does it fit in a back seat? And then materials. I'm looking at fabrics. I'm looking at how do they feel? What's the touch like? Are they easy to clean? Are they washable, removable? Can you put them in the dryer? Do you have to hang dry them? Greenguard Gold certification is something that some parents are concerned about. Flame retardants. The addition of synthetic flame retardants rather than a more naturally flame retardant substance. I look at that. And so that's kind of like the outline of the 4 things that we evaluate. So this is the Kiko KeyFit Max. This car seat has a universal fit that is very strong. So what I mean by that is it's going to fit small babies, larger babies, all really well. You tend to have the biggest issues with smaller babies. So a preemie, anything usually 6 pounds and under is when you can run into a little trouble with fit. I'm looking for a supported head and neck. It's okay if the head goes to the side, but we want to avoid a head going forward. We call that chin to chest because that's going to compromise an airway, and obviously we don't want that. So very good fit on this car seat. This car seat also works in a variety of cars. You can get a pretty good installation on pretty much any vehicle with this seat. It's just really easy to install and has a really good fit. Safety-wise, okay, here's where things start getting a little more in depth. So this car seat has something called an anti-rebound bar. And that is this right here. Sometimes you'll see it called an anti-rebound panel, and the Doona, which we're talking about next, also has the same feature, but it's a panel instead of just this bar. What does this do? Back to crash and crash energy. This is an energy absorption device. So when you think about energy and how it moves and the laws of physics, objects going forward continue to go in motion forward, but then they will rebound back. So this rebound bar will again absorb that rebound of the car seat. So you want more energy forces absorbed by the seat and less on your child. So that's what this is, and this seat has one, so we like that. Size-wise, pretty narrow seat, pretty narrow base, works well in smaller cars. Generally, when I talk about smaller cars, I'm talking about narrower back seats. When I talk about compact cars, I'm talking about front to back. You can have a large car, for example, I have an SUV that you would think by looking at it, oh, you have plenty of room. It's like, no problem. It is actually kind of a compact front to back car. So it's something to be considered of when you're dealing with the length of a seat. How far out does it extend? Does it give the driver enough room or who's ever in front to kind of go back? This seat is actually a little on the longer side, but width-wise is very good. So good for a tighter back seat if you have someone else riding in the back seat or if you just have a smaller car side to side. And the materials, this one is Greenguard Gold certified, free of chemical flame retardants, and I will explain what that means. Similar to crash standards, that every seat has to meet the same federal safety standards, every seat sold legally in the US has to meet the same flammability standards. How you get those flammability standards is up to the manufacturer. So in some cases, they will add chemicals, and they're not always bad, right? That you hear chemical and you think bad. Obviously, they're very tested for safety, but some will add synthetic. That's what we call synthetic flame retardants. Other manufacturers will choose to use material that's more inherently flame retardant. So for example, wool is an inherently flame retardant material. So this seat is free of any chemical flame retardants, and that's what that means. And then anything to look at for this one in terms of cons, like I said, it is a little bit longer front to back, and then weight. This is about 10 pounds, which is on the heavier side. Again, not super heavy, but a few pounds heavier than these 2 seats, which we'll get into later.
Yeah. Seats like fit all of the stroller?
Yes, she's asking about seats fitting in a stroller. So that's called a travel system. A travel system is a stroller and a car seat that click together. You would take this seat off and you would click it in here. There are travel systems from the same brand, right? So I could buy a Kiko travel system and I'd be getting a Kiko stroller and a Kiko car seat, and you know they work together. Sometimes you need adapters that you put on either side, or some of them are a ring shape. You can also make your own travel system. You can do like a DIY travel system where you're mixing a different brand stroller with a different brand car seat. Those are less universal. You have to make sure they work together because not all car seats work with all strollers. The Kiko is pretty good. It fits on a pretty wide range of strollers, but you'll want to pay attention to, it'll tell you like on the website what exactly they work with.
I know you mentioned the
Greenguard Gold. I know. I know. Greenguard Gold certification.
Is that the standard, or is that something above and beyond what you mentioned, everyone having a fence?
Greenguard Gold is not the standard, so that is an above and beyond. And you can do Greenguard Gold across multiple categories. So you'll see it in car seats, you'll see it in cribs, you'll see it in furniture, wood treated with like VOCs. So not all of that will hit Greenguard Gold. Any kind of fabric, anything with like a fabric. Okay, this is the Doona Pippa RX with the relax space. This is another super popular seat, especially among Babylist registrants. The first thing that jumps out at me about this seat is safety. And again, like I said, everything's meeting the same federal safety standards. Some are going above and beyond. It does have the anti-rebound bar, which we talked about before. This is an anti-rebound panel, same as the Kiko, just a different shape. This one has something called a load leg. It is a metal leg that extends from the base of the car seat to the base of your vehicle. We're going to talk about energy again here. Same idea as the anti-rebound bar or panel, but on the other, I know physics, but on the other side. The anti-rebound panel is going to help with the rebound, the bounce back of the seat. This is going to help with that initial impact in a frontal collision. And the reason why we use frontal collisions as kind of the baseline is they account for something around 70% of car crashes. So this is going to take that energy again and transfer it away from your child and onto this car seat base. This base also has something called rigid latch. Okay, here's where things start to get fun. You can connect car seats to your car a multitude of ways. So you can use the seatbelt to secure it to your car. You can also use something called latch. Latch stands for lower anchors and tethers for children. It is a system that car manufacturers started to put in their cars around 2003. Now it is mandatory to be in all cars. And it consists of lower anchors, steel lower anchors that you will find in what we call the seat bite, which is basically where your butt hits the back of the seat. If you go to your car, I know Shannon, you were saying like,
Did you know you all have them? If you go and you touch, I promise you have them.
You have them. You will feel them. There's, I believe every car is mandated to have at least two, but if you have a third row vehicle, there's usually more. What latch does, it's just an easier, secure way to attach your car seat base or your car seat itself to your car. You pop out these little latch connectors and they literally go right on to the metal anchors and you'll hear like a click and it goes right in. It's not only more convenient, but the reason why this one stands out. So this is what's called rigid latch. This is a steel connector, steel in here, steel in here. This is called flexible latch because it's on a flexible strap. Same steel, same connecting, but more flexible. Rigid latch, again, we're all talking about movement, energy, all of that stuff. This steel to steel is the tightest, most secure way to attach a car seat base or a car seat to a car. Again, safety-wise, like everything I'm talking about here is safe, but if you want the strongest the most foolproof installation, because it is a lot easier to get in, you're going to want to look for rigid latch. So that's the standout here.
With this one, you have to use I forget what it's called, but the extra legs.
The load leg?
Yeah.
You do not have to use the load leg, no.
Okay, so it's just like an extra feature.
Yes, it's an extra feature. You should, in addition to reading your car seat manual, which it sounds like the most boring thing, and it kind of is the most boring thing, but you really have to read the car seat manual, you should also take a look at your vehicle manual. It's called like child restraints, or that's how they'll label the section. It's usually about like 20 or so pages, and it talks about where the car seat's allowed to go in the car, how the car seat's allowed to go in the car, what you should do with the headrest, what you should do with the recline. Give it a read. It's really riveting. But not all cars allow load legs. Almost all of them do, and I would guess some trucks don't. But for the most part, you should be fine. But you do want to make sure that load leg can be used with your car. But no, you don't have to use it. But I would say if you buy the seat, that's a huge safety feature, so you should.
In what situation would the load leg be able to be used?
Sometimes there's a storage compartment. There's some like trucks that have like kind of like a hump, and they have it. It's not that it couldn't be used. It probably can, but it hasn't been tested for that. So the testing requirements are so stringent, obviously for good reason. So if it has not been tested by the manufacturer, they're going to say, we don't want it. But I would say 90% of the time, maybe even 95%, you can use it. So what else do I love about this seat? Fit, similar to the Kiko, works with smaller babies, works with a really wide variety of cars, very easy to install. When Shannon passes this around, you'll notice 7.5 pounds. Sounds like not a lot, it's a lot different. It's a lot easier to kind of move, maneuver. You can hold it like this. Some people like to do this little hold. Why does that make a difference? If you have, especially as your kid grows and gets bigger, they're gonna get heavier, obviously, and it's a lot to lift this all the time. So nice and lightweight. And the materials, this one is also Greenguard Gold certified, and it is also free of chemical flame retardants. The keep in minds on this one, every car seat, when you're securing your child into it, has what we call a 5-point harness. 5-point harness means 2 straps go around the shoulders, 2 straps go around the hips, which are these here, and then 1 strap goes on the crotch, and that's the crotch buckle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As your child grows, those harness straps, obviously they're getting taller, those harness straps move up with them. In some car seats, you will have what's called a no rethread harness, which I know doesn't make a lot of sense, but no rethread basically means you can hit a button. Often the button is back here in this seat. It happens to be in the back. You press this, it brings your harness height up and down. That is a no rethread harness. A rethread harness simply means you have to do it manually. You have to turn the seat around, take the cover off, unthread manually, move it up to the next slot as they grow. Why do they do that? Rethread harnesses, which is this one, tend to have a better fit on smaller babies. Not always, but they do tend to. It's a little bit of a pain. However, if you think about it, most car seats, I think this one has 4 harness slots. You're gonna be doing it every couple months. So maybe the lifetime of the seat, you're doing this 3 times. It's not like you're doing this every time in and out. So it's a little bit of extra work, but nothing crazy.
I know you mentioned the OPAS minimum safety standards, but there's like a maximum, I'm assuming too. Is this the safest if you had to say one?
This is a question we get as CPSTs all the time. So there is no safest, and because there are so many variables that go into what makes a seat safe, right? Everything from the way it's constructed, to the way it's installed, to the way it's being used, to the type of crash that you're in. There's just so many variables, which is why they kind of set everyone has to pass the same. The other thing to know is car seat manufacturers are not required to release their safety testing information. So we truly do not know how this scored on, say there's 25 tests they have to pass. We don't know how this scored versus how this scored versus how this scored. And again, that's because there are so many variables that can go on during a crash that like it would be impossible for them to say like, oh, well, this one got, an A and this one got a B. Like there's too much going on. What I will say is, as a CPST, there are features I look for. The 3 that I look for that we've talked about here would be the anti-rebound panel, the rigid latch, and the load leg. The load leg, not as common, I would say, but definitely the anti-rebound panel and the rigid latch are 2 great ones. And you will see it will bring up the price. That's something that I would look for personally.
Could you give me a quick understanding how this differs from the Pippa Air?
The Pippa Air, if you look at the stats initially, it will say it's a little lighter, but Doona actually weighs the car seats without the canopies and the inserts. So once you factor in yes, these canopies are removable, but I've never seen anyone take one off because you obviously want to shade your baby. The inserts will come out once baby hits a certain weight. Usually it's around 11 pounds. So a teeny bit lighter. Feature-wise, a little softer, a little more luxe, but same features pretty much. I believe that one has magnetic buckles where this one doesn't, just like kind of tiny upgrades throughout, but safety-wise, all the same features.
Do they all have similar weight limits?
Yes, but usually it's about 30 pounds and 32 inches. What I will say is that most babies are going to outgrow a seat by height, especially infants, or infants to 1, by height long before they will outgrow it by weight. So pay attention. All these seats also have what's called the 1-inch rule, which means there needs to be at least 1 inch between the top of the head and the top of the seat. Once you surpass that, even if your baby is only 28 inches, but they might have a long torso, their heads are up, gotta move to the next one. This is the Joy Mint latch. As you've seen by these seats all have bases, right? The benefit of the base is that you can do what Shannon is doing right now, which is install this in your car and click those seats in and out. Say you're traveling, right? And you're like, I don't want to bring this, 20-pound base with me. I just want to bring a car seat. You can use your seat belt in your vehicle to install these seats, the carrier portion, doable. However, learning curve and takes a little bit of time, like a couple minutes, not hard. I've done it a million times, but the first couple times you do it, it's a lot. Baseless car seats, which are new as of the last about 3 years, this seat has no base. This is all you need right here. So instead of this latch, this is again rigid latch, instead of it being built in to a base, it's built right into the seat itself To install this seat, I go out to my car, I find my lower anchors, I pop these out, I put it in, I make sure the recline is correct, and that's it. You're good to go. Why is this important? You might want this if you don't want to deal with a base, right? Like, I don't feel like dealing with a base, no problem. It's also really good for people who travel a lot. It's good for people who are switching cars a lot. So say you have a caregiver or a grandparent who is putting this in their car and they don't want a base in their car all the time. This is a good option. Also, if you don't own a car and you rely on ride shares a lot, again, you don't have to deal with the seatbelt installation. You can just pop these out, put it in. There's a little release button on the back and it comes right out, and that's it. This seat is also light because it has no base. It's pretty light. Fit-wise, pretty good fit. Works with most babies, variety of cars, and then compact size. So in addition to being light, because you're saving on the base, it's also narrower and more compact. So this will fit in a very wide range of cars, even like really small sedans. That's where we tend to see the biggest problems with fit. And then convenience, as I said, really good for city families, really good for traveling, all those things. And you don't have to be a person who falls into those categories to want this. We have a lot of families who just use this as their main seat and love it, and it's great. This has a rethread harness as well. So as you can see, there's no mechanism to move those straps up and down. You're gonna be rethreading every time. But again, it's only gonna happen like 3 times probably over your child's lifetime before they grow out of it.
So these don't have like a rebound bar, rebound panel?
No, this does not have those, no.
Does that change the safety of it?
They're all passing the same standards. I know it's a really unsatisfying answer. I can answer it this way. Would I feel comfortable using the seat? 100%. These seats go through such rigorous testing. I did this for many years before I got my CPST certification, and since then I have learned so much more about just the testing process. It is really impressive. They go through years and years and years and years of testing. So you can feel pretty confident in all of them.
Is there a reason you choose the Joy over like the Doona Trib? The new one that like also is baseless?
The Doona Urban.
Yeah.
No, it's just usually preference, price point. I love the Urban as well. The Urban is only sold with the stroller though. Doona does not sell the Urban separately. Joy sells this on its own.
So if it comes with a base, it always has to be with the base?
No. For convenience wise, yes, right? Most people are going to install this base, leave it in their car, and just click in and out. But like say when you're traveling, you can, so say this is my car and I'm putting it in like this, the seat belt routes through here. So it will go, the lap belt will go over this, the shoulder belt will go behind this thing right here. And you kind of buckle and then you'll lock your seat belt, push and tighten, and then it's in there. Every infant seat on the market can be installed with or without a base.
Now, is there a brand that has both a base and that setup?
Joy actually is starting to sell bases for these separately. So you could, if you're like, you know what, I want to have a base on hand just in case I want to use it, yes.
Yeah, because I can see that it would be inconvenient if
Yeah.
you have the baby in the seat and you're trying to find where to clip it.
Yes, yeah.
So you're going to be moving the baby left and right,
Yep.
trying to clip.
It's pretty easy. I will also say before you make any decisions, if you can't, it's really hard to play with it in your own car. There's not many places that are gonna let you take it out and test it. Watch videos on it. There's always a ton of videos and you can see it, being done and you can see it's pretty easy.
We're going to move on to something a little bit less stressful
Lots stressful.
and less about physics. Baby bassinets.
Bassinets. We're going to talk about 3 types of bassinets. We're going to talk about your traditional type of bassinet, a smart bassinet, and a play yard. So traditional bassinet. This is kind of what you think of when you just think of a standard old bassinet. Kind of classic, kind of timeless, no plugs, no wires, no Wi-Fi, limited movement. Sometimes they will bounce a little, sometimes they will sway a little, but you're not plugging this in. It's not doing anything fancy. Materials vary. The higher end ones usually are solid wood. The lower end ones are usually a mix of wood and plastic and other materials. One is not better than the other. They are all very safe. Again, these also have to pass safety standards. It's just kind of a preference of what you prefer. Price range, you can get a very good bassinet for $100. You can also get a very good bassinet for $600. There is a pretty wide range. The advice I like to give people is try to think about how long you're thinking the baby is going to stay in the bassinet. Most people kind of have a feeling like, I think I want this baby in my room for a long time. I want them in the bassinet as long as possible. Or if you're gonna have multiple kids and you're like, I want this to be passed down for, multiple children, then maybe it does make sense registering for a higher priced one. If you're like, I don't need anything fancy, I don't need anything very complicated, I just want somewhere safe for baby to sleep, then the lower end price-wise ones are, as I said, gonna be just as good. They're just gonna have less features. But I've used both high end and low end, and both are wonderful. This right here is the Newton baby bassinet. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Newton crib mattress. That's kind of how Newton got their start. What that is a fully breathable crib mattress. You can literally hold it up and stick your face in it and breathe right through it. Again, safety wise, is it safer than all the other crib mattresses on the market? No, it's more that peace of mind. Sleep is a very anxiety producing thing, especially for a new parent, especially in those first couple months. I use the Newton. I liked that if my baby turned their face or kind of at some point they will start to roll, they were face down on the crib, they could breathe right through it. Kind of just gave me peace of mind. This has that mattress size down in bassinet size. This one also has a drop down side. Newton also makes what they call their essential bassinet, which is a little less expensive, and it does not have the drop down side, and it does not adjust height wise, or it might adjust a little less, but also a very good bassinet that I've used and love. Smart bassinets are kind of the tech forward version of the bassinet. So that is the snoo that you were seeing right there. What does that mean? It means they have smart features. Usually that involves auto response and auto movement. So these bassinets are going to sense your baby's cries. They're going to learn your baby's cries over time, and they are going to respond with gentle movement, rocking, bouncing, music, white noise, all different things. The snoo, which you're seeing here, also comes with a built-in swaddle. So you kind of zip them up into this little swaddle. It's built right into the bassinet. So that keeps them on their back, and back is the safest way for babies to sleep. Smart bassinets are app enabled for monitoring, for control. They do require a plug, obviously. They require Wi-Fi and electricity. And price-wise, you are going to see a big jump between a traditional and a smart. These are going to start around $1,000. There's a few that are a little less expensive and go up to about $1,700. So this is the snoo that you're seeing here, the Happiest Baby snoo. This is one of the most popular. The Cradle-wise is another smart bassinet that you should check out that is also really popular with Babylist registrants. What I like to tell people about the snoo, there is a rental option as well. So if you are kind of on the fence and you're like, I don't know if I want to commit to this bassinet, you can rent it month to month with no commitment, which I really like because it's a lower cost way of sort of trying it out to see if this is something your baby likes. A lot of the times you're not going to know until baby is here. Some babies really, really love the snoo. Some babies just don't need that level of movement. I have 2 kids. One of them was much more movement dependent than the other. My first could have cared less. You could have put him on the floor and he would have fallen asleep. My second was like, what are we doing? Like, we need to be moved around constantly. So I used a movement-based bassinet. So play yards are something that you don't normally think of when you think of a bassinet, but the reason we wanted to include them here is because they are a pretty valid option. A play yard is what you're seeing here. This is the Graco Pack and Play Close to Baby. So a play yard like this is multifunction. You can use it for sleep. You can use it for diaper changes. So this is a little diaper area right here. And you can use it for play. This is a little newborn lounger. This has 2 sleep spaces. If you took these off of here, this is a raised bassinet here. And then this is more your traditional play yard. So this all pops off when you don't need it any longer, and you can just use it as a play space. These will grow with your baby from the newborn days all the way through into toddlerhood. You can use this as a bassinet. If you're like, I don't need more things, you can definitely take this, put it in your room, take off all that top stuff, and use that top level. You can also use a traditional play yard. So say none of this is here and you're just looking at this play yard. The benefit of something with a raised bassinet is in the beginning, you don't want to be down and up with that little baby all the time. It's just rough on your back. So I like that this has a raised surface. Again, it's a workhorse. You're saving space. It's reducing the amount of gear that you need. The downside, it is large, it is heavy, it's pretty bulky. But you can use it for travel if you need a place for baby to sleep, say like at grandparents or somewhere like that. So this is great.
I like to say this is the veteran parent move because you're probably going to either register for one of these or have one because they're so great to travel with. They're so easy to take around. But a lot of people don't realize that you could also use it for bassinet time because bassinets you can't use for that long. You can only use them for a number of months in the beginning.
We see this a lot. So I had my first baby in New York City, and this was a popular option, something like this, because people just didn't have room for, a separate bassinet and a separate changer and a separate whatever. So they use something like this. Price-wise, it really runs the range, anywhere from about $100 to $400 or $500. And again, that price difference is just going to be features, materials, but all of them are very safe.
What's the top left thing for?
That is a newborn lounger. So like not for sleep, but just like and it pops off. So if you want to like take a shower or just like have the baby not on the floor, it's just like a little seat for them to hang out in.
Okay, so we went to Target. We bought 2 of them.
Okay.
And one had a softer cushion. The other one had more like a plywood cushion.
Okay.
What do you guys recommend?
So they, and again, we're going to go back to safety standards. They're all passing the same safety standards. You want a firm sleep surface, and the definition of firm is defined by those standards. You can actually go read about it. It is very complicated, but they have to pass a certain firmness. So they test it with like different weights. I don't have a personal preference. As long as it passes, then, which these do, then like it doesn't really matter.
Your baby hasn't slept on a super soft mattress.
I know.
They don't know.
Crib mattresses in general tend to be pretty hard, and you will probably feel them and be like, this cannot possibly be comfortable. It's fine.
They love them.
They don't know the difference. Before I go into our picks, I want to talk a little bit about strollers and lifestyle. Strollers are probably something I hear about stroller regret the most from people. And that is because when you are choosing a stroller, as you can see it says here, lifestyle, lifestyle, lifestyle. You have to think about your life, how you are going to use the stroller, where you live. Are there stairs? Are there bumps? Are you going to be walking outside all the time? Are you only going to be walking on smooth surfaces? Are you going to be walking on gravel? Do you want something that's easy to take in and out of your car, easy to fold? And what we also like to say is there is no perfect stroller, right? There is not a stroller that you are going to be able to check every box on. It just doesn't exist because they are all kind of built for different purposes. There are some that are more multi-use than others, but for the most part, most families, I would say, and this isn't something I say often because I don't think you need all the things, most families will have a larger stroller and then kind of a lightweight option. Sometimes they purchase that lightweight option later on. You can make a lightweight option work for daily use, but what we see a lot at Babylist is parents saying we want kind of a bigger stroller and then down the road maybe we want something a little lighter. So think about your lifestyle. That's my tip. So this is what I would call a traditional full-size stroller. As you can see, it's not huge, but it's definitely on the bigger side. It's a little heavy. It's about 28 pounds. What I love about this stroller, first and foremost, is ride quality. She pushes beautifully. She turns beautifully, one-handed. Big wheels, you'll see the big wheels here, the big wheels in front, really good suspension system. So you can push that down and feel. It handles smooth pavement, it handles curbs, you can hop a curb, it handles gravel, grass, all really well. This stroller is newborn ready. Okay, back to your smushy newborn. Again, newborns, poor head control, poor neck control, poor back control. If you were to take a newborn and put them in this seat as it is right now, they would fall over, even with a harness. So to have a newborn ready stroller, you want something that lays completely flat. So this lays flat. It comes with this little newborn, I think they call it a snug seat, so it's like a little positioner for extra support. You can use this right out of the box with your baby on day one. You can also attach a car seat to it, which is another way to use a stroller from day one, but if you don't want to do that, it's a nice thing that you can just put this back, secure them in, and you're ready to go. Durability, this stroller is built to last. We have parents telling us all the time, I have the UPPAbaby Cruise, I have the UPPAbaby Vista, which is their larger stroller that seats 2. I've had it for 6, 7, 8 years. I've used it for multiple kids. These are really, really well-made strollers. And then just lots of thoughtful details, right? Beautiful fabric. These are magnetic buckles, so easy to go in and out. The handlebar telescope, so I'm tall, I like a high handlebar, easy to adjust. The canopy extends out really far. It does this, and you can also down even more, peekaboo windows for ventilation and to see. So just a lot of thoughtful kind of design forward convenience features both for you and for your child. Also a really big storage basket, which is nice. What are the downsides of a full-size stroller? It's heavy. This is going to be, can you take this in and out of your car all day? Sure. Are you gonna want to? I don't know. It is a two-handed fold and it is self-standing, but you know, it's not tiny, right? Like this is pretty big. That is the downside of a larger stroller. And then price-wise, this is a premium level. This is a very well-made, very good stroller.
And the seat face both?
Yes, the seat is modular, so you can pop it out and face forward and backwards.
I know there's that seat, but does it have like multiple attachments, like if we were to get like a spring?
So you can put a car seat on it. Some of them accept bassinets. The Cruise does not. The Vista, which is their, what we call a convertible stroller, so it starts as a one-seater and then you can add a second seat. The Vista does take a bassinet. But like I said, because this one can be used from birth because it lays flat, you don't really need the bassinet, but you can put a car seat on it, yes. Certain brands, you have to check.
Can you take that in an airplane?
the stroller. This one, you can gate check it, but you are not going to be able to fit this in an overhead bin. Yes, this one, which we'll get to next, this you'd be able to take literally on the plane, fold it, and put it up on top. But this, no. For the Uppa Baby, they also sell a travel bag, and it's like this big padded travel bag, like backpack. So what most people do is pack it up, and then you'll gate check it, and you'll get it when you get off the plane. Okay, now we're gonna switch gears. So this is the opposite of that big one. This is the Jules Air, and this is a lightweight stroller, also called a compact stroller or a travel stroller. You will see immediately the difference. Much smaller, much lighter, and it does that. Super easy, right? Like easy, easy, easy. This is also an option that you can either think about from day one or as a secondary travel stroller. What do we love about this? Obviously, we love the fold that I just did. One-handed, it weighs 14 pounds, so half of what that other stroller weighs. Yeah, much lighter. The other thing I love about this, so often when you're getting a lightweight stroller, because it's obviously a lighter frame, you're sort of losing that maneuverability and that push. They just feel a little flimsier. This does not feel flimsy at all. This still has really good suspension, which you can see when you play around with it. Really responsive steering, easy to push and turn. It's just a really well-made, really great travel option. This is also newborn ready, but you have to unzip it. This lays flat, and then there's a little part that folds up here, and it makes like a little nest for newborn. So you can use this from day one. This also accepts certain car seats. You can put adapters on the sides and click a car seat in, and they also sell a bassinet for this as well. So we talk about what works for one family, what might not work for another. So I had a stroller like this, but Shannon,
I had a travel stroller.
as her primary stroller.
Going back to the lifestyle question, I personally could not envision myself with a full-size stroller. They seemed big, they seemed bulky. At the time, I lived in a walk-up of, some stairs to go up, and I just thought, like, I don't need all that stroller.
Yeah.
I got a travel stroller. It was the Uppa Baby Minu, so similar features to a cruise.
Just sized down.
Just size down, smaller basket, yes, but I could take that thing traveling. I could throw it easily in the trunk, and I had no regrets about that.
Yeah, so it
if
is
you can make it
doable.
work.
It is doable from day one. What are you gonna lose? You're obviously gonna lose storage, right? A lot smaller basket on this one than on that one, but it doesn't, you can still fit a diaper bag and a couple water bottles and a few other things in here. And the handlebar, this is something I would look out for on travel strollers. I don't think any travel strollers have an adjustable handlebar. So this is fixed, right? I cannot move this up or down. It is this height. If you're on the shorter side, not a big deal. If you're on the taller side, definitely test it out before you buy it. I love this one. As a tall person, the angle works really well. It is a tall handlebar. Some of them, you kind of have to bend over, or you'll kick, if you're taller, you'll kick the crossbar when you walk, which is not ideal. But this one is great, even for taller folks. So that's kind of what you're gonna lose, but a great option.
How do you put a newborn in that one?
So you can lay the seat all the way flat. So this unzips, goes all the way back, and then harness them in. You can also use a car seat and clip it in with adapters, or you could get a bassinet. So they sell a bassinet separately. Any other questions on that one?
Faces both ways.
No, that does not face both ways. This is a forward only. So once you kind of start testing out, you'll feel the difference between something like this and something like this and the Doona. So next to car seat questions, which I get the most, and then my second most popular question I get is, do I need a snoo? The third most popular question I get is, do I need the Doona? What is the Doona? I want the Doona. I love the Doona. I hate the Doona. All things about the Doona. This is the Doona. The Doona is a hybrid car seat and stroller. The Doona is primarily a car seat, but it's a car seat that transitions into a stroller. It is a one of a kind. It was the only item like this on the market for a long time. Evenflow now has a competitor called the Shift, which is also great, but this was kind of the first. As you can just see, the benefit of that is it starts as a car seat. You can put it in a car. It does have a base that goes with it, which we have back here. Click it right in the car. When you're getting out of the car, you take it out, you pop the wheels up, you move the handlebar, and she turns into a stroller. Why might you want something like this, right? Convenience is the number one thing. It's less gear to own, right? And you're not transferring a baby from the car seat to the stroller and the stroller to the car seat and back again. You are just popping this out of your car. You are opening it up and you are pushing it. Travel friendly. If you travel a lot, it's less gear to deal with lugging around, which people like. What is the downside? And I wouldn't necessarily say downside. It is more of what do you need to be aware of before you buy something like this. It is primarily a car seat, right? So that means that car seat rules apply. And when I say car seat rules apply, that means you do not want to keep your infant in a car seat for an extended period of time. When they are very little, you probably don't want it in there more than like a half hour, 60 minutes or so at a clip. Even when they are older, I think the AAP recommends about 2 hours max the whole day, right? So you don't want to use this as a stroller. A baby can sit in that stroller seat. You can go for an hour-long walk, no big deal. Can you do that with this? Yes, but especially when they're little, I don't love them in there for that long. Again, you just want them to have a little less like scrunched up. This is heavy. This weighs 17 pounds. So if you remember the car seats we saw before, the heaviest one, which is the Kiko, weighs 10 pounds. So this is almost double that. That becomes a lot of weight when you're adding a 15 or a 20-pound kid and you are hoisting it from the ground all the way up to your car and then from your car all the way up to the ground. It's heavy. And this is not it's a stroller, but it's not like this kind of stroller. There's no suspension, there's no shocks. It's a little harder to steer. It turns pretty well, it pushes pretty well, but you're gonna get a bumpier ride. You are also going to get a much lower handlebar. This is as high as it goes. So I'm tall. This is not super comfortable for me. I could do it, but I'm gonna kick this. So again, are these cons? Not necessarily. It's just more of what you need to be aware of. And that's how I try to answer the question of like, do I need a Doona? That's kind of what I say. And again, who's this for? I would say frequent travelers. I would say if you're an urban family and you don't own a car, it is something to consider. And then I also love this for people on their second or third kids who are in and out of the car a lot with the older kid, like say you're doing preschool drop-off or soccer drop-off or any of that. It does become a lot easier to just use this and not have to worry about like an added stroller frame.
For this one, can you go over the base, like
Yep.
the safety features, stuff like that?
This is the base for the Doona, so it's pretty standard. It does have an anti-rebound bar, which is this. No load leg and no rigid latch. This has flexible latch, which is here, but again, you're still gonna get a really secure install with this. And you can, like every other infant seat, you can use the seatbelt only to install this. So if you're traveling, you don't have to bring this with you. You can put this in with the seatbelt, but that's the base. It just looks a little different though. This is like a recline adjuster.
Is the stroller part removable, or is it just like?
No, this is it. Yep, this is it.
So logistically, if you're
Yep.
going on an airplane
Mhm.
and you're with the Jewels,
Yep.
you're also bringing a car seat for when you get in the car at the other end.
Yes, and also here's my CPST safety tip of the day. You should fly with your child in a car seat if possible. If you can buy them a seat and bring the infant car seat on the plane. You can use the lap belt and put them rear facing and buckle them right in.
Okay, and how, like the, don't keep the newborn in that situation for like an hour and a half.
Correct.
How serious is that?
It's pretty serious. I would check. AAP has guidelines around it. Like if you Google AAP safe sleep guidelines, you'll find a really nicely done, easily digestible sort of safe sleep overview. It's going to talk about crib sleep, play yard sleep. It's going to talk about car seat sleep. It's pretty serious, especially when they're younger. Car seats, obviously very safe, very well tested, but you're putting your baby in kind of a forward-facing position. And like I said, this is what you're looking out for. You're looking for that forward. That's what you want to avoid. When they're little, they're just so floppy and new, and like they don't have that head control. As soon as that head control develops, which happens 2-3 months, you'll see a big difference. It becomes less of a thing. But in those beginning months, it is something to pay pretty close attention to.
Sorry, when do babies outgrow the?
The Doona actually tends to work a little later. I would say it is age, weight, and height based, but I would say most people can get past a year with this. So like 12 to 18 months-ish.
So would you use it for like 3 months to 12 months?
Yeah. Mhm.
If that's safe.
You can use it from birth. Yeah. No, you can use it from birth. It's fine. But again, I just wouldn't keep them in it for, But yes, you can use it from birth. To 12 or 6, it's going to depend on when they all grow differently and at different rates. Again, it's usually going to be height. That's how you're going to notice. They're going to just get too tall for it.
Do you have to deal with rethreading strollers like you do with car seats?
Some yes, some no. These here, no. This has a no rethread, that has a no rethread. The Doona, you have to manually rethread, but this is more of a car seat. But these, and you can see on some of the other ones on the floor, they have little adjusters on the front, and you literally just like either pinch it or squeeze it, and then it goes up and down. But not all strollers. Some do, you have to rethread them. but these do not.
Okay, we're gonna move to our last section, baby monitors.
Similar to bassinets, we're going to talk broadly about 3 types of monitors. We're going to talk about video monitors, Wi-Fi monitors, which also includes wearables, and audio monitors. Video monitors. Video monitors, similar to like your traditional bassinet, a video monitor is kind of what we think of when we think of your traditional video monitor. Plug and play, no Wi-Fi required. It has a camera that goes in the room and a parent unit right there.
This one normally has a cord.
Yes, this is corded. Why do people like video monitors? They're pretty easy to operate, right? You don't, like, I will tell you to read your car seat instruction manual once and read it again and then probably read it a 3rd time. I don't care if you read the video monitor manual. You probably don't need to, you'll figure it out. It's very easy. They're simple, they're intuitive, they're easy to use. You don't need an internet connection, you don't need a phone, you don't need an app, you literally plug it in and it's ready to go. What to keep in mind about video monitors? They do have a range. Usually it's about 1,000 feet. That's generally not a problem unless you live in a larger space or if you live in a larger home with plaster walls, which I used to, and it did not play well with all video monitors. The plaster walls are very thick and they tend to block the signal. That is kind of the only downside though. Otherwise, they're a great choice. They're affordable. This is the Mom Cozy 4.3 inch, great night vision. The one thing I would say on video monitors to look for, a lot of them have like a lag time between when you press the button and when the camera actually moves. This one does not. It's very responsive, which again, doesn't sound like a big thing, but when you're using this all the time and you're like zooming in, it does become kind of annoying, but really affordable, works really well. Now onto Wi-Fi monitors. These are kind of akin to the smart bassinet, right? It's like a traditional category of baby gear that we have upped with tech. A Wi-Fi monitor runs on Wi-Fi. This is the Nanit, which we are showing here. This is a Wi-Fi monitor. This has unlimited range. So instead you have your camera, which is that, and this attaches to a base that you put in the nursery instead of a parent unit using your phone. So we're gonna do a live demonstration. I hope no one's at my house. I have the Nanit. This is the app. So I'm 1,000 miles away. I live in Chicago. Here we go. Here's my nursery. I love this. My kids are far apart in age, so for my first one, these were not even a thing. I used a video monitor. For my second one, I was like, I don't know if I really want this thing on my phone. I love this so much. I am obsessed with it. I still look at him all the time. He's 4. I look at him when I'm away. I look at him when I'm out to dinner. I love having it. It runs really seamlessly on your phone. You can have background noise up. I can listen to a podcast, but also still hear him on the monitor, so it plays really well. It does not drain your battery. Nanit actually just came out with a parent unit as well. So if you don't want to deal with the phone and the app, they have a dedicated, it looks just like the Mom Cozy, except bigger, and you just plug it in. You do still need Wi-Fi, and you can use that instead of your phone. That's great for like a babysitter or a grandparent who doesn't want to deal with the app. Love it. Wi-Fi, obviously unlimited range, really good camera quality. What you're also getting is like sleep analytics, which I loved as well. It kind of learns your baby's habits, and it's going to tell you when the last time your baby took a nap, down to the minute. Like my little guy's named Ben. Like Ben woke up 1 hour and 32 minutes ago. And I know you're saying like, why would I can read a watch. Why would I ever need to know that? I promise you, you are going to forget when your baby last slept. So you just look at it. It's so easy. Wi-Fi monitors also level up and often include a wearable component. And those wearable components are vitals trackers. So you can track things like pulse ox, respiration, you can track movement. They do require an extra thing. In the Nanit, this is called their breathing band. And as you can see, it's wrapped right around here. And that does track that. You also might have heard of the Owlet. So the Owlet's a little wearable sock. This is another type of Wi-Fi wearable monitor. That wraps around baby's foot, and that is gonna track those vitals for you. What to keep in mind about this? Obviously, more technology. It does require Wi-Fi. What I will say, I tend to see from the parents we talk to 2 types of parents. There's the parents who love the information, right? They thrive on the information. This is me. This is what I do for a living. I loved knowing every last detail. Then you have parents who are like, I do not want to know all of this stuff. It is making me actually more anxious. Kind of think about where you might fall in that. If you fall on that side, a wearable may not be the right choice for you, or a Wi-Fi monitor. You may do better with just a standard video monitor. It kind of depends. But for certain families, this is a great choice. And cost-wise, these are going to be a step up from a video monitor. Yep, I kind of fall in the, I want to know all the things, but I did not want to know the vitals all the time because I felt like it was going to make me too nervous. So I only used it when he was sick. So if he was like running a fever or not himself, I would put it on and use it for a couple days. But yeah, you don't have to use it. It will track movement regardless. which is nice. Gives you a little movement map in the morning, so as they're bigger, you can literally see like where they've been in the crib all night. It's very cute.
Does this require a subscription?
So you get, as part of it, I believe you get a subscription free for the first X amount of months. And then no, you don't have to subscribe, but you can use it without, but you're gonna get less features. And then there's different levels of subscription that you can do. A lot of people will do the higher levels like the first year and then kind of drop down to the more minimum. But no, you don't have to use a subscription in the beginning.
I think you mentioned that it does require Wi-Fi even for the separate,
Yeah,
you buy, like,
the parent
whole,
unit.
you know, live camera
Yes.
effectively version. Is
Yes.
there anything where you have the phone option for Wi-Fi, but your home, you know, live camera view unit is not?
Yes, so there are some video monitors, they're like hybrid video monitors, and they kind of do both, so you can kind of turn on and off the Wi-Fi as you want. I will say reliability can be a bit of an issue with some of those. I'd say they work better as video monitors than Wi-Fi monitors.
Is the outlet in this one comparable in their features?
Pretty comparable, yeah. I would say the camera on the Nanit is probably clearer. The outlet is more vitals based. The outlet first launched, it was not a video, it was just the sock. So they are more focused on like respiration, pulse ox, things like that. As outlet has grown, they now have a video component with it. So I'd say probably like video-wise, maybe the Nanit is a little stronger, and vitals-wise, maybe the outlet. But yeah, they're pretty comparable.
You use the Nanit camera
With outlet sock.
outlet sock.
The Nanit does a really good job of vitals as well. But yeah, you could. Yes, you certainly could. I know people who have. You can buy the sock separately. You don't have to buy the camera with it.
To what age are these wearables?
They have different size bands, so they start in an extra small and they go to like a large. I would say probably 18 months. Remember, as the baby gets older, they're also gonna go. Like they're gonna be able to take it off as they're like closer to 2. I'd say most people really rely on them for the first year.
I was gonna say, as like a real talk thing, you start to get more comfortable and feel like you don't really need to use it.
Yeah, it's usually more of a parent.
Okay, let's talk about our last one.
Audio monitors are exactly that. You're not getting any video, you're not getting anything, you're just getting audio. You have a parent unit. This is the PIP, the Motorola PIP. I just like it because it does that. These have cords. These are not cordless. We don't have the cords here. One goes in baby's room, one goes in your room. Very basic. You may think like, oh, I'm not going to be able to hear anything. These are really good. They pick up everything. And especially as you get more used to your baby's noises, you're going to be able to know what's going on there just by hearing it. Compact, light. We use this one for travel. Comes with a little bag. It's great. Super affordable. Obviously, the keep in mind here is they are only audio, so you're not getting any visual. But you know, this one's $35. So a great option. Some parents use just this, especially if you live in a smaller space and you're like, my baby's right there. I don't need to see them. I could just peek in. Like, these are a great option.
For the various non-Wi-Fi enabled things, to what degree are those like full-time plug-in versus like it's a USB-C? Thinking for family members who are not good at charging things.
Well, it varies, but I would say most of them hold a pretty good charge. They do tend to, as you keep them longer, that you will have to charge them more. Like, I would never keep a video monitor, even though it might make it through the night unplugged. I would always keep the parent unit plugged in just to be on the safe side. It's more like when you put them to bed and then you're still like having dinner or, you know, sitting out back or going, you know, walking around the house, then I would not keep it charged. But yeah, they're pretty reliant on keeping them charged.
You mentioned there was a monitor that you could buy for the second one, the Nanit, maybe.
The parent unit?
Yeah.
The parent unit.
It's like for our grandparents.
Yeah, so what the parent unit is, it is a large screen that you don't have to have your phone to use it, right? So say I have a babysitter coming over and I don't want them to download the app. What most people do with the Nanit is a regular caregiver, like for example, my parents, my in-laws, and our nanny all have the Nanit app downloaded on their phone. But when the high school babysitter comes over, I'm not gonna be like, download the Nanit. So we would use that parent unit. You just plug it in and it becomes a regular, I mean, you can unplug it too, it charges, but it just becomes a regular video monitor. So you don't have to have your phone.
For the Jewel stroller, it can fit a newborn, but even without the inserts, will it be a good fit for a newborn, or will it be too like loose or
It would probably be okay. I would say most people who choose to use it from newborn will use it either with the car seat and just use it for like limited times, right? Like you're not going on long, and you're not really going on like super long walks with that anyway, or will choose to use the bassinet. I see it in cities a lot. Like if you need to do a decent amount of walking, they will buy the bassinet separately and then just use that for the first couple months because it's very flat. It's great for a newborn. But you could do it, but I would say I tend to see the bassinet or the car seat used a little more.
The new Doona Urban Flex.
Yes.
Is that an okay everyday stroller system if I wanted something super lightweight?
I would say it is okay for like quick errands and for quicker kind of smooth pavement. I would not use the Flex for I'm going on an hour fitness walk through a bumpy neighborhood. It's more for like, would it be fine to use like, I'm running to the store? Yes. I don't know that I would use it on like super hilly, super bumpy, long time stuff.
I was just wondering for the Up a Baby cruise, could you do that on like a light jog, or is there also different joggers?
None of these. So jogging, you need a jogging stroller. It needs to be approved for jogging. And you can't jog until baby is around 6 months old because again, back to floppy heads.
We have a guide for that.
We do have a guide for that. We have a guide for everything.
We have guides for everything. So these are just a small sampling of the stuff that we recommend, and for different reasons. We go into, Jen goes into super deep on each of these and different ones, and we tell you what other parents think of it, how it did in our survey. We put real parent reviews, so we've got something for everything. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, guys. This was great.